Give us some bad example of a bad cap table structure.
Well, there are quite a few actually. So the first one that comes to my mind is one investor having too much control over the company. Because in certain cases we have seen that there are 2 or 3 co-founders in the company who combined own 50 to 60% of the company, and the remaining 40% is just held by one investor, which is not perceived well by the incoming investor who wants to invest, because they believe that there's a third party outside of the founding team who have too much control over the company. So that makes them reluctant in investing in such companies. So the best way for founders to handle this is to have a certain allocation decided before they take the money, and then have it distributed or bifurcated between multiple investors. So the power is more in the hands of them rather than in the hands of one particular investor. So that's one. The second and equally commonly seen bad examples of cap table is too much debt equity. What that means is that sometimes ex-founders or ex-employees of the company have sizable shares in the company, but they are no longer contributing to the growth of the company. So in that case, the incoming investor, if they see a large chunk of the share capital being held by those people who have neither invested in the company in cash, nor they are contributing to the growth of the company in the form of sweat equity. So in those cases also, the investors don't want to invest in the companies where there's too much debt equity sitting. So that's the second one. The third one is founders diluting too much too early. Because we have to understand that building a business is a long haul process, and founders will raise multiple times during their tenure. So if they dilute too much equity during early rounds, say sometimes we have seen founders have given away over 30% of the company at the pre-seed level, which means that by the time they reach Series B, C, they will have very little equity left for themselves. So the incoming investors want founders always to have a considerable stake in the company in order to get them going. So if they dilute too much too early, then in those cap tables also investors sometimes decide to pass, because they feel there's not enough incentive for the founders to run the business at a later date. And last but not the least is a zoo of investors, because in certain cases we have seen companies accepting $5,000, $10,000 check, and all those people are sitting on their cap table, sometimes 50 to 60. When there is a zoo of investors sitting on such cap tables, institutional investors don't really like it, because they want selective number of investors onto the cap table, because there are a lot of processes that require shareholders approval. So if you have too many people sitting on the cap table, there's a lot of problems that arise in the future, and we all know that managing shareholders is never easy. So if there are too many, it becomes problematic for the founders. So yeah, these top 4 things come to my mind when we talk about bad cap tables.